All right, Rob, let's get into it. Obviously, we're going to talk NFL. There were a lot of great games over the weekend. And the Baltimore Ravens continue to hold on to that number one spot in the AFC. If only right now because they have a half-game lead. They play one more game than the Chiefs. But still, at 9-3, they're the number one seed. They beat the LA Chargers 20-10. And you came away from that game with a big statement in your mind.
Chris, it's one thing when you look at people on paper, and we both like the Ravens on paper this year, didn't we both?
Yeah, we both picked them to get to the Super Bowl.
We both picked them to get to the Super Bowl because on paper, you looked at that team and you said, man, finally, Lamar with the contract in his back pocket, Chris, not an issue anymore. He's healthy, not an issue anymore. Yep. They got receivers, not an issue anymore. We know about the defense and the playmakers, not an issue anymore. John Harbaugh has already won a Super Bowl. We got that, right? We got everything in place.
Yep.
And watching them again.
Did you go to the game?
No, I did not go to the game, but I did watch. And Chris, I'm convinced now more than ever. It's one thing about paper. But the Baltimore Ravens in real life are the real deal. And I feel way 10 times better about my pick that they will win the Super Bowl. I really believe that they're going to win the Super Bowl when I look at this team, especially because they can win in so many ways, Chris. And that, to me, is what you need sometimes as a team because everything doesn't always work, right? Sometimes you need a defense to make a stop and make a play. Sometimes you need somebody to rush and get the big first down and keep the clock moving. Sometimes you need somebody to throw a touchdown late in the game, or you need a field goal, or whatever it is. And they have it, including the coach, who I have confidence in.
Well, we know he can win.
He can win. That's what I mean, Chris. He can win, so it ain't a question mark. So when I look at all these things and I look at the Ravens now, and when I saw the stat last night, Chris, after the first half, in 6 of their games this year, not 1, not 2, not 3, LeBron, but 6.
3, not 4, not 5.
But 6, Chris, they have allowed 3 points or fewer in the first half. I mean, seriously, in this man's NFL where everybody's slinging a rock around,
right?
That's incredible to me.
Well, look, I obviously believe in the Ravens as you do. You picked them to win the Super Bowl over the Dallas Cowboys. I picked the Philadelphia Eagles to beat Baltimore in the Super Bowl. So we both picked them to win the AFC. And I have no reason not to be confident in that. I think their defense is incredible, and people didn't expect that. People thought this might be a down year defensively for them, but they've had a lot of guys really step up and play better than people expected. And Rob, this is what I'd say about yesterday's game, because they weren't great offensively. They won 20-10, as I said, and the Chargers don't have a great defense. We all know that. But the Chargers, we all know, are a talented team. The Chargers yesterday were a desperate team. The Chargers have a very good quarterback, and they held them to 10 points. This is a Chargers team that scored 17 against the Chiefs, who have a great defense. 17 against the Cowboys, who have a very good defense. 38 against the Detroit Lions, who are a good team, a playoff team. And 27 against the Jets, who have a very good defense. And they only put up 10 in desperation mode against the Ravens. So I'm with you on the defense. Now, and I feel good about my pick.
Chris, can I say this before you take your next step?
Yep.
We're just talking about, because you said you're good with me on the defense. The Ravens, all right, here we go. The Ravens have allowed an NFL best, Chris, 15.5 points per game. Their fewest through 12 games since 2006. This is how long ago it's been that they've been on this par. And we know that when they won that Super Bowl, you remember they had an unbelievable defense with Marvin Lewis. Remember, that's what
Ray Lewis.
No. Marvin Lewis was the D coordinator.
Oh, okay.
2001. I know Ray Lewis was on the team, but I'm Marvin Lewis, Chris. But I was saying that springboarded him to being a head coach. You know what I mean? That defense. And that defense was incredible, and they won. But anyway, I just wanted to say that's where their defense is. It's incredible.
No, the defense has been playing terrifically. Offensively, again, yesterday wasn't a great day, but they've proven they can score. Rob, they had scored 30 or more points or more than 30 points in their previous 5 games. All right, so Lamar, he's not throwing for a ton of yards, and Lamar and Jalen Hurts are similar in that you're not going to be wowed by their passing stats.
No.
All right, whether it's total touchdowns thrown for, yardage thrown for, and all that. And you have to look at them differently. They're going to run for some touchdowns. I think Lamar's run for 5. Jalen Hurts has run for 11. But it's not always going to be what we think of, back in the pocket throwing for 340 yards. It's not always going to look like that, but their effectiveness, and in this case, Lamar's effectiveness, I think outweighs his stats. Whether it's, he only threw for 1 touchdown, but he ran for 2, or he didn't throw for any touchdowns, but he ran for 2. He only rushed for 35 yards. But a lot of the success of their rushing game is because the defense has to account for him. And this year he hasn't had the dynamic long runs like we're used to seeing from him. But he's throwing the ball better than ever. And so I feel good about it. I'm not, look, it's going to be tough. Kansas City had a nice bounce back game yesterday. We know they're going to be tough. May not have to worry about Buffalo. Cincinnati probably won't have to worry about them. Jacksonville's good, but they're beatable. And then, the other teams in the AFC North, that's who they deal with. That's who they're used to beating. Miami is a finesse squad. I think they can get physical with them. So Kansas City's the toughest challenger, or not challenger. They're the toughest team for them to beat, the defending champions. So I'm like you. I feel good, but I think it's going to be tough. And then if they get to the Super Bowl, obviously Philadelphia or San Francisco, or maybe even Dallas, but I think it's going to be Philly or San Francisco is going to be
not
tough
Detroit?
to beat. So, I think, look, I like Detroit as they're going to be in the playoff team. This is what I've been saying all year from the beginning. Not a Super Bowl contender, but they're going to make the playoffs. I think they're squarely the 4th best team in the NFC behind Dallas, San Francisco, and Philly. So, we both like the Ravens. Lamar's having a great year. He's in the MVP race. I don't think he's MVP right now. It'd be interesting to see what.
We all know who the MVP is.
It's wide open. I mean, I've been saying Jalen, and I'll say him now, but it's open, Rob. I mean, I think these next, maybe these last 6 or 7 weeks are going to determine who it is, because nobody is running away with it at all.